I'll just sort of pop on in. Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're really pleased to see that we've got representation from lots of different parts of the employment sector, including local authorities, the NHS, financial services, some MOD representation, and so on. So it's lovely to see so many different people represented here. Some of you will be familiar with us already, some of you won't be, so I hope for those of you who don't know us, you'll get something out of this today. Before we start, can I just draw your attention to the fact that we are recording this for future reference. We are planning to pop it onto not only the Forces Families Jobs website, but also onto the Families Federation's websites for employers to use at a later date. If you have an issue with that, please can I ask you just to turn your cameras off, and then you won't be identified on here. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Can I also please ask that for the duration of the time that we, the FamFeds, are presenting, can I just ask you to put your microphones onto mute to avoid too many noises going on in the background? And if you've got any questions throughout, either raise your hand or just pop something into the chat box, and we will address those all at the end, if that's okay. So, to start us off, Jenna, if we can get going, please. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to the team. I am Lucy Heaver. I am the Employment Specialist and Policy Advisor at the Naval Families Federation. My colleague Caroline comes from the RAF FamFed, and she is their Communications Manager, but also heads up Forces Families Jobs for the RAF FamFed. Jenna is from the Army Families Federation, and she is their Employment and Training Specialist. And Sarah, who is also from the Army Families Federation, is the one who sits behind Forces Families Jobs. She is the one who does the day-to-day running and administration of Forces Families Jobs, and sits behind the help at Forces Families Jobs email, so that if you've ever got any inquiries or queries or want to just ask questions, Sarah is the one who you are speaking to. So it's nice often to just put a face to a name. So that's us, and now on to Forces Families Jobs. So Forces Families Jobs was set up September last year. We've been running for a year now. And the original aim for this was to set up a one-stop shop platform that was free of charge, that bridges the gap between employers who want to support the armed forces and armed forces spouses and family members who are wanting to access forces-friendly employers and training opportunities. This all came about from the tri-service research that was carried out by AF in 2018 in conjunction with Warwick University. This was a fantastic piece of research looking into the barriers that spouses face when looking at employment opportunities. And one of the key recommendations that came out of this was the fact that we needed to bring together an opportunity for an online jobs platform that not only brought in employment opportunities, but also training opportunities. Some of the key things that we identified through the Warwick research was the fact that 63% of spouses surveyed said that they had changed their career path because of the military lifestyle. Now, this is quite common. We find this with a lot of people. Me, myself, I was a teacher and I've changed career paths. There are lots of people who have done this because they want to find something that fits in alongside the military routine and allows them to move around the country or be adaptable when needed. One of the other things that was identified was that 45% of partners recorded a perceived employer discrimination when applying for jobs. And some of the main reasons for this being that there was potential of that individual moving on in a couple of years' time, so that they were not willing to take the risk in employing that individual. There was employment history on their CV, which showed that they changed jobs frequently, which again is something that is common amongst military spouses, because they'll move to different parts of the country and they'll find a job that suits them and fits around their military lifestyle. So whether that be the fact that they've qualified as a teacher, for instance, but then they can't find a teaching job in the next posting and they move into an admin role, and then on from that they then might move into some sort of a shop role. These things are very frequent and we come across it time and time again. One of the other things that was highlighted was that there was the fact that employers had this perception that spouses and partners are not as committed to their work as other employees might be, which again, take it as you want. we'd argue against that and say that actually they are 100% committed because of the fact that they want to be completely involved in that role from the time that they're in with you. One of the other things that came out was 54% of all spouses and partners who were surveyed were unaware of support for them to find work. Now, over the last couple of years, there has been an influx of organisations out there who are willing to support, including lots of employers like yourselves, and they just haven't had an opportunity to get to the spouses. What Forces Families Jobs does is it brings everybody together under one umbrella as a place where spouses can go and they can find not only employers with employment opportunities, but also training opportunities, which allows them to look at ways in which they can change career or improve themselves in different ways. So Forces Families Jobs was launched, and we have set it up in conjunction with the Defence Relationship Management, and it brings together all different employers. What we wanted to do first of all was give you a bit of an idea about what a military spouse can bring to you as an employer and to your business. So we've got here a video that is on the Forces Families Jobs website, which gives you a little bit of an insight into an NHS spouse or an NHS worker who is a military spouse and how she has positively benefited that organisation and what she brings as a military spouse to them.
The prospect of employing a military spouse, if you have no experience of that, may cause managers to worry about whether they would stay with us for very long. I would be encouraging anyone thinking of employing a military spouse to think about the positive aspects. Mel always demonstrates a really strong sense of duty, a really strong sense of teamwork as well. That is something that someone from a military background or a spouse who's immersed in that background has a really good understanding of.
Hopefully we'll have a better sort of in the next... Resilience is key, because whether you're a military spouse or a military child, you have to deal with an awful lot in your personal life that helps you in your professional life.
Military spouses tend to see a lot of fluidity in their lives, so they can deal with change. If my senior management decided to post me to another part of the country, I'd have to go, and a lot of military spouses have to cope with maybe sudden upheaval. It's not easy to write down on a CV, but it is quite an important life skill, being able to cope like that.
She is incredibly committed to making sure that her role is done properly, whether she's here or not. She that her husband sometimes may not be at home with very little notice, so she has really good backup plans for how she will manage to, fulfil her role, really.
I think public service is important to us both because we want to work for a point and a purpose. Her management are quite aware of my role. If she didn't have the support from work, either one of us would probably have to leave our job.
She gives so much when she's here that we think it's important to retain her in her role as a ward manager, which she is excellent at.
Probably haven't told her this, but it's harder for her being at home, because she's got to deal with me not being there. She's got to deal with the kids who are upset because I'm not there. They might get stressed, they might start acting up, but then she's got the time pressures of the children, school, work. She is class, she's awesome.
We're just about to bring up the next wave of slides for you, so it won't be a second. Jenna, is everything okay? Here we go. So benefits to you. as the employer is the top notch is that it's a free service. And if you've got targets or commitments to employ people from the Armed Forces family, this is a one-stop place that you can come to advertise your job vacancies. And of course, people come to us from the whole Armed Forces family. So that's partners of, perhaps older sons and daughters as well, but also personnel in their first year of transitioning out of the Armed Forces as well. You're also helping us by giving talented people the gateway to return to the workplace. So, you know, as that video shares, we've got a super resilient talent pool in there for people to be tapped into. So it's great that you're giving us that opportunity to provide this one-stop shop for families and personnel as well. Another area is we'd like to almost return a thank you to you by advertising your businesses and promote good practice examples and help us to celebrate your input to that whole Armed Forces connection. So you'll do that obviously through Forces Families Jobs. We've just started a new section where we can put live stories on, as well as obviously highlights to your organisation. But not only that, each 3 Families Federation have magazines and online newsletters, so we can put case studies and ideas and tips from your perspective on through those channels as well, that in turn feed back to Forces Families Jobs. So just to reiterate that there is no cost to the employer, it is a super free service. We've also had feedback from people that are registered with us already, which I know many of you are who are on here, but we've had people actually proactively thank us for having such a simple system to use. Some of you will use our automated system setups, some of you won't, some of you do the manual uploads, but in either instance, the feedback's been really positive on that. I will just say the only requirement is that you do have to sign the Armed Forces Covenant, or have to be say it's the civil service, because you're working with us and it's a government department and you can't sign the Armed Forces Covenant. Then we also advertise jobs on your behalf as well. So if that's you, please have a conversation with us if you're not already doing that. The Armed Forces Covenant itself, now I think we might be preaching to the converted a bit here, because you're probably already completely up to speed on it, but for some of you that aren't on have signed the Armed Forces Covenant so far, please Google the website, because they will you'll be able to find out exactly how you can sign up. Again, it's free to sign up to the Covenant, there's no cost to do that, and the Defence Relationship Management team will talk you through how you can go about doing that. So just to recap, the Armed Forces Covenant, it's a promise by the nation to ensure that anyone who serves or has served in the Armed Forces and your families are treated fairly. I'll leave you to read through those bullets just whilst I share a few more numbers. So over 5,000, there's 5,626 businesses, to be precise, have signed up so far, pledging their support to the Armed Forces Covenant. 407 local authorities in mainland GB are part of those, as are 4 Northern Ireland councils as well. So that's a fantastic number, and it's growing each month, and we really thank you for doing that. Again, if you're new to the Covenant, having signed the Covenant, there are opportunities for companies to apply for different levels of award, and it's dependent on the amount of support for and of advocacy of the Armed Forces community. So that the company level will actively then can display those awards, so that's internally as well as externally as well, something to shout about out in the wider business networks. And you start off at bronze, step on to silver, and then on to gold. And if you're silver or gold, you're assessed every 5 years. And in light of that, I just want to introduce you to someone. So today we've got representation from a few organisations who have not only registered, as we know, but are also Gold Employment Recognition Scheme holders. And that includes Danielle Sandy, who has very kindly offered to speak to us today about how registering with Forces Families Jobs has benefited them as an employer.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Sandy. I'm an ex-serving member of the Royal Navy and a current military spouse. I left the Royal Navy 5 years ago and now head up recruitment at FDM Group. So we've been using the platform now for just under a year. And the main benefits from my perspective are it's free. Obviously, that's a winner. The platform is very easy to navigate. You can post jobs, events, training opportunities, and the team are always on hand to offer assistance as well. I think from my perspective, it's good to have notifications of when people apply for jobs, and you get a notification because sometimes I'm too busy to manually go in there, check the applications and process them. The portal as well allows you to search and identify candidates with the right skill set. So there's a CV database. You can download CVs, you can source your own leads. And if there is a specific skill set you're after, you can set up job alerts for that as well. And I mean, with the Armed Forces Covenant piece as well, obviously we're a Gold Award holder. And with that comes a commitment to support other organisations and help them achieve gold. So off the back of using this platform, we've had some great conversations with other people who are also members of the platform and the Armed Forces Covenant as well. So in summary, I would highly recommend joining the portal and can certainly say that it has worked for us at FDM Group. We've employed 2 individuals off it. And it's, I think today, really important, especially in today's crazy environment, to have a strong digital footprint. And this is another tool that you can use to enhance your organization's brand and promote employment opportunities as well. Within FDM, we have 3 military spouses. I'm one of them, and the business entirely understands what we can bring to the organization. I think we as spouses are adaptable, we're familiar with operating with stress and pressures, and we're always committed to a higher purpose. If anybody wants to have a discussion about our experiences offline, I'm happy to do that. So feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Danielle. We appreciate you being here to talk to us. So I'm just going to share my screen again, and I'm going to give you a bit of a run through of the site. So what you'll see here is the homepage for Forces Families Jobs. We've gone for the Tri-Service Purple. As you can see, it's very, very simple and very straightforward. You can scroll through and you can see the number of live jobs. You can see the featured jobs at the bottom. These here on this ribbon, these are all jobs that are advertised by our gold ERS holders, as Caroline mentioned earlier. So yeah, you can have a look through and you can see all the bits and pieces. Last week was FFJ's first birthday, so we've got this lovely tile here to celebrate that. There's a couple of jobs that are advertised here on the left, and this events tile here advertises different events that our signatories are operating. So if you go to the top of the page, this is what you'd see if you go to forcesfamiliesjobs.co.uk. Your job seekers will see this page initially, and they can search for various jobs that under a quick job search, so they could have a look for an admin post, and it will bring up 3 different admin posts. So there's the jobs that have got admin within the body of their text. They can refine the search in this purple box at the side, so they can search for various, they can choose their own keyword, they can use location. We do advertise jobs abroad for those families that are going overseas. They can look for jobs within a certain radius of where they are. They can look in the sector. This sector's got all sorts, you can just see a quick go through there: call centre, construction, education, hospitality. The list, there's so much on there that people can choose from. Again, they can choose from the type of job, whether they want full-time, part-time, flexi or home-based. A lot of sort of our cohort would go for flexible working and home-based, but that's not to say that some of our spouses and adult dependents might be looking for full-time employment. So that's another option that they can use to search via. They can search for the employer recognition scheme. So Caroline mentioned the bronze, silver and gold holders, or a signatory. So a job seeker can come in and just click on bronze and see what jobs are being offered by a bronze or silver or gold ERS holder. So it's very, very straightforward and very, very simple for the job seekers to use. Now, as an employer, you would be interested in this section. If you scroll down, you can see here, there's that the lovely video about Melanie Martin, who's the spouse who you saw part of the video for earlier. But this section here on the right is where you would come if you wanted to register with us. If you're already registered with us, then you will be more than familiar with the top box. Very easy to access your profile. If you want to register with us, you can just click on this and it will take you through to this page where you put information about your company, and it's really simple, really straightforward. You then register and it goes through to Sarah, who is our FFJ administrator, who Lucy introduced at the beginning of the presentation. We don't only offer an opportunity to advertise employment roles, we also have the training and career support button just here. We have a variety of different training opportunities for spouses and adult dependents. If you scroll through, you can see accountancy, there's Amazon, various, the Finchdale Group are offering functional skills and GCSEs, SMS spouses from BFBS Academy, digital skills, we've got some virtual assistant courses, returning to nursing, a variety of bits and pieces. We've got a craft training opportunity on there where spouses can learn to make various items using resin. So that's, we've got a whole abundance of various things that they can access through the training option on there. We also have business startups, so a lot of our spouses find that potentially self-employment is something that they can do. It can support military life in that they can move their businesses wherever they go. So if you click on that, we've got options, again, the BFBS Academy, but we've got ex-forces on there, the independent spouse, supporting the unsung hero, who are all organisations who can help spouses to set up their own self-employment endeavours in various different ways, be it from sourcing funding to providing various different support and information that will be useful to somebody setting up their own business. We've also got on this tab, you can see we've got events. So there's our webinar on there. So if you have an event that you think will be something that the military families cohort will be interested in, then please do get in touch, send us information and we can get it advertised on there for you. As you can see, this is quite a new feature, so it's not got a huge amount on it, but you can see just from what we have got on there, there's quite a diverse range of things that people can get involved with. Similarly, our news section at the top here, you can see that is also fairly new as well, but if you've got any news stories, any articles that you think will be useful for our families, then by all means send them to us as well, and we'll be able to get them uploaded onto FFJ, and quite possibly they would they might be able to go onto the Families Fed individual channels as well. So that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of our site. Like I say, it's very simple, very basic to use, and I would encourage you to go on and have a little look, have a little play, and see whether or not you think it would work for you. I'm going to go back to my presentation now. So a minute ago I mentioned the training providers. Training providers, we don't ask for them to be covenant signatories. However, we do ask that they offer some sort of benefit specifically for our community. And in training providers, we've also got careers advice and career support, that kind of thing. So it may be that, if you offer a service like that, you could consider reducing the recommended retail price of a course specifically for the community. Some offer ongoing support in terms of mentoring to participants from the service community. And others offer their courses in an online format, which makes it easier for military spouses and adult dependents to be able to take those training courses with them wherever they go, so that location doesn't become a barrier to developing that CV and helping people to move themselves forward professionally. And going back to the video about our military spouse Melanie, who worked in the NHS, I just feel that this sentence from her line manager just, you know, it resonates with me, and it says what we're trying to explain. And she says, it doesn't complicate my job as an NHS manager to employ a military spouse. We have to think a little creatively about work patterns, but actually what we gain from having Mel in her role makes up for that 100%. And I think going back to what was originally said about barriers that military spouses feel, you know, prevents them from finding work, you know, careers and employment. You know, it doesn't have to be complicated, and if it just involves a little bit of creativity, then, you know, there's nothing to lose. So yeah, that just resonated with me, and I really like that statement. Which brings me to the end of our little presentation. If you have any questions or inquiries, we'll hold a bit of a questions and answer session in just a sec, but if you do go away and you think of anything, you know, you'd like more clarity on, please do send us an email at help@forcesfamiliesjobs.co.uk, and we'll be able to get back to you with an answer as soon as we can. So thanks ever so much for being here with us, and we really appreciate it, and if you have any questions, then please do fire away. Were there any questions on the chat, Sarah?
Just one. I quickly answered that.
Okay.
It was about hiding salaries. If you want to hide the salary, you can. You can enter any number and then just tick hide salary.
Brilliant. Well, if there aren't any more questions, then again, thank you ever so much for being with us. We're really grateful that you took the time out to come and hear our presentation. And yeah, if you want to sign up with us, then please do have a look on the website and, you know, send us an email. We'd love to have you. It would be brilliant. So thank you very much.